you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all and that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hearer of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
So you will know the difference between right or wrong. But if you don't listen to it, how you gonna know?
You're saying recognizing all praises Ahezaah, how real Ahezaah is. You're saying the people got to recognize their real personal relation, that they are personally accountable.
Well, there you go, that they are a part of it. Because see, everybody don't accept the relationship. Everybody don't know of the relationship. Everybody can't recognize the relationship that they have with their Lord. How many people recognize the call of their conscience? That is something that's coming from the Lord to their soul, to them.
And in that, I know that I had experienced something last week. That's why I said, you don't know how you take things from Ahezaah and put it on yourself. I had a situation where I had a bill, and I had put a considerable amount of money on the bill. Matter of fact, PSE&G, public service and electricity. And then I called them after I put all this money on it, and they told me I owed them so much more money. And I just couldn't take it no more. I cried and said, every time I try to get ahead, something happens, and I get behind again. I fall behind. And I was thinking about my children who has no respect for, bills. And I said, them kids always cause me to fall behind no matter how hard I tried. And I cried. I was upset. And I took it. I kept that anger for some hours. Matter of fact, I was even abusive to my husband. He probably even recognized it because stuff go over his head.
They sure do, because I'm like, we in this together and I ain't even hearing it. I'm not going to worry about it. It ain't going to kill me.
And
devils.
And after I went through my change, I said, well, let me just go. And I left and I went about my business. And then Ahezaah caused me to think, like, wait a minute. Okay, I think I'm due something. Because here I go, I said, every time
Yeah, I was wondering why you weren't saying we.
No, I said every time and I said, I think that I'm due something. I said, surely, Father, you know best. I leave this with you. And Ahezaah, out of his mercy, gave me a gift to help take care of it to a large degree. And I said, see, I went through all that knowing that I'm not due anything. And not one thing. And only Ahezaah mercy that it showed me before I was given that gift. Like, what do I think I'm due? So it's so easy to take praise and take everything from Ahezaah and put it on yourself. Holy Apostle taught me a long time ago, but it's a lesson I have to revisit over and over again in life.
Until you get it.
Until I get it. And that's that I. As soon as you let that word I run out your mouth, you need to run behind it and chase it and knock it down, start kicking it. Because that I puts importance on you and take away from Ahezaah. Anytime that I deals with your ego. As soon as that, and people may think that's crazy, but if you want, try it. Examine your conversation and see how that I have a serious effect on your relationship with Ahezaah. It's an ego thing, and we live in a society where it's all about I.
Well, like when she was talking and she was saying, I go through this, I go through that, my natural reaction inside of me, I said, what was she talking about? That's why I made the joke about the we. If she would have at least said we, maybe she'd have been cooler. She wouldn't have had as much emotion, bombardment come on her, as she did, because I know she suffered by it. And like she said, she wanted to go to war with me, and I didn't recognize it. Well, praise be to Allah. Praise be to Ahezaah, that it didn't cause me to recognize, to join her in my mind with what she was going through. Because everything that happens to us, whether so-called good or so-called bad, praise be to Ahezaah for it, because it has given it to us for some reason.
Right.
You see? It, you know, like, things can happen to you real bad, but if you recognize that it is the originator and the sustainer of everything, the annihilator and the resurrector of every single thing, and you realize that you are in its experience of life, that's your experience, being in its experience that it gives you of life, then you'll have more of the peace of it. You'll have more to calm the harmony of it, because you won't get lost in that ego and put your mind up into that ego and think that here it is with I'm do this or I'm do that, or how could you do this to me? Easy. You know, because like say you have a heart condition and you really get frustrated about it and you start blaming the Lord and so forth and so on. Well, that heart belongs to it. That's its heart. It only loaned it to you. And what you gonna do? You gonna put more pressure on yourself in your foolish anger, where you may hurt your heart that much more and suffer that much more just to learn or to be reminded, wait a minute, that heart belongs to it. I know it's in the chest that you believe is your chest, but it's its heart in its chest that it loaned to you, to your mind, where you could be housed in that body that belongs to it.
One of the greatest things that I either sent down, that I either point out to us through you, was that about the goodly loan. Everybody think it belongs to them.
Yeah.
I either said the fact that they gave you life, you're already in debt to it. But how many people look at it like that? They think the Lord is indebted to them. Well, I know you promised me this, now give me that. And no. Then when things don't go their way, then many people curse the Lord, turn on the Lord. You know, I think about the story of Job in the Bible, for example. When I either said, try my servant to Satan, try my servant Job. And the devil said, well, once things happen to him, he's going to turn on you. And the Lord said, no, he's been made ready. Just don't take his life, but whatever you want, do to him. And all through his trials, man, Allah keep bringing that story to mind, that everything that happened to Job was by the Lord's permission. First of all, Job would never give praise or power to Satan and any of that. He knows my Lord is the one that is really doing this. And his wife was saying, curse the Lord and to be with. He said, I'm going to praise my Lord regardless of the conditions that I'm seeing in or viewing in. All praise still do. She could never understand it. She left him, his children left him. Then when Allah's trial was over, Allah gave him back 100-fold plus, because he never lost sight of who was the real doer, like you were saying in the beginning. That Ahezaah really is the doer of all things, but we are thieves. Many people don't know they're thieves, crooks, robbers, stealing Holy Apostle all the time. How many people know they steal from the Lord? Back in the day of the church, would a man rob God? Yeah, they would. I thought to say hell yeah, but they would. But they robbed the Lord blind like a you don't know, like a crook.
They still do,
and they still doing it now.
Still do.
But they don't even look at
They
that.
don't realize
as thievery. But Allah tried them for their crimes. They don't say when they get punishment come down. But Lord, I didn't. What you mean?
But you know, I had an experience. We had an experience quite some time. I don't know if you was around, but at this time. But it was, the past 30 years, I've had so many gatherings, man, with different individuals, different groups of individuals, And in one of our gatherings, we had some new people come in, about 5 or 6 at the same time. And one of the persons blurted out one day. I mean, like it was loud too, and everybody stopped and looked, but I knew that myself and my wife looked, we had the same thought. What is she saying? What this person said was, y'all should thank Allah that I'm here in y'all congregations. Wow. And I looked at my wife across the room and she looked at me and I said, oh, what?
Wow.
Huh? Because, well, see, it wasn't so much just arrogance
Right.
or the ego, but as much as it was the belief
Okay.
from this path where this person had come from in Islam to the path of where she came to us in spirituality, which a lot of the so-called Muslims curse, thinking that we
Right.
into some cult Sufism and,
Right.
you know, something offline. We had to reteach this person. Wait a minute. Thank Allah that you here. Praise be to Allah for you being here. Oh no, we don't need you. Allah don't need you. Allah don't need me. You feel me? Yeah. So no thanks and no praises due to you, because everything that you bring, Allah has brought through you. Allah has given it to you to bring as a trial, not for us, so much so as a trial for you.
Right.
See, one thing I found that as I was growing and helping people, people start giving me gifts. And then in turn for them giving me those gifts, they start thinking that they were doing me a favor, not realizing that the favor was theirs. They started out giving me the gifts in a pure light. Oh, this brother's helping me. Here, I want to show some appreciation. But after a while, it was like, here, and wait for me to say thanks. You see, where the praise is due to Allah. Everything I give to you, like you say, yeah, you got this from Holy Apostle. Yeah, Holy Apostle taught us this, that, and the other. Allah gave that to you. Ahezaah gave that to you. The Lord Amen, Christ gave that to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it just gave through me to you that you remember or you recognize.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because all praise is due to it, not to me. Nothing is due to me. But it says to me, well, I will allow you to receive credit for what I do. Then you can give me praise. And I will give you credit for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Said, because I don't need anything. I give to you because I love giving to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So I can't think of not one thing that I've done or thought, you know, because thinking is doing, that I'm doing anything for. Because in all that I know of myself, everything is owed to it. Everything belongs to it. So how could I take credit for anything I give you?
Mm-hmm.
So when I've had people come and say, oh man, that brother's into that Sufism, I watch that brother, you know, I laugh. I said, boy, they don't know, they talking about Allah. They want to go to war against Allah thinking they going to war against me. And they wonder why we can't never take that brother down. Because you're trying to take down the thing that's impossible to be taken down.
Right.
I'm only representing it.
Right.
You know, you could throw stones at the sign. You could knock the sign down. You could destroy the sign and get rid of it. That originator make another sign look just like it, sound like it, be it again. You can't do nothing to it. You can only do something to the sign if it lets you.
But as that has originator has done throughout time and
Throughout,
centuries.
there you go.
Moses and Jesus and Muhammad.
And as it resurrects its signs,
known and unknown,
and
it's
represented, it resurrects its fools.
That's true. That is true.
To live in the day and oppose them, you know?
That's
it
true.
Gives life to the world that it has resurrected again. How many times you been here?
Aisha says that clearly in the Holy Quran. Go ahead, Holy Queen.
Getting back to that goodly loan thing, a lot of I used to give us so much, you know, so much to eat from, and a lot of time, but we love to limit what I used to give to us, put limitation. Goodly loan, 10% when I get paid, that goodly loan goes all the way to your life. You know, people say my life, my death, and my sacrifice, but do they truly want to give their life, their death, and all their sacrifice? You know, how much do we hold on that we should not hold on to? We shouldn't hold on to nothing. But we hold on to our children, we hold on to our jobs, we hold on to our money, we hold on to everything.
Yeah.
What we should ask ourselves, what do we let go? What do we truly give that is due to Ahezaah when all is due to Ahezaah? And if we really sit back and evaluate ourselves, we know we give nothing. We give nothing. That goodly loan has so many people so confused. They sit up there and they're going to budget Ahezaah in their budget. Oh, Lord, I gave my tithes. You know? And they think that tithe is giving that goodly loan. That tithe is not giving that goodly loan. You know, that goodly loan, people don't recognize that goodly loan should start when you open your eyes.
For time, right?
You know, but
it
we
wake
don't
you up.
understand what that goodly loan is.
Us,
Our whole being
You know,
is that goodly loan.
you know, it's because of that people in general are fooled by advocates of the devil, that some of them think that is, you know, advocates of the Lord Most High, you know, but they come in all sizes, shapes, and colors, and outfits, and what have you, talking about they representatives of the Lord Most High, but they get fooled and misled to because of that what they do, as opposed to what you saying, by thinking that those ties are really reaching the Lord. How many ties is gonna reach the Lord that's not given wholly? Now look, from yourself, unselfishly, perfectly from yourself, because once you give a tie and you holding on to it as you giving it, you ain't giving that up. Once you remember that you gave that tie and you look for something in return, you ain't give it up. You understand? And see, that's why you have very great establishments built on those ties that be establishments of advocates of the devil. And you think that they advocates of the Lord. You think because you go to the church or the masjid or the synagogue or the temple or wherever you go, you really believe that the Lord appreciates you for going to those places, when some of them places are temples of the devil. But you don't realize it.
but let me show you something deep too, because see, the jinn is always in the mix of the thing. Because I've thought about this. Holy Apostle didn't say much. He just made a statement last year. It is really, to me, wrong for you to pay tithes and then at the end of the year follow on your taxes. That's wrong. But you got mixed up with the devil. You know what I'm saying?
Get your money
But
back.
it's trying to get some of your money back. That's wrong. You know, truly that's wrong. And another thing I was thinking about with this goodly loan
They
thing.
get all their money back in a refund, get the whole refund back. It's a tie.
Yeah, but see how the government gets involved with this? See, it's
look
big
at how
business.
the government gets involved with the religions. When the religions, when the divine word should be over the worldly word, over the political word. But they didn't trick the people, and they didn't threaten the leaders of religion and say, if you don't comply with us, we're going to do this, that, and the other. Now, you going to comply. And then we're going to give you tax relief and what have you. And you could tell them it's because God is involved that you get tax relief, and we're not going to mess with you. Because the politicians, even though most of them are supporters of the devil, they in that fraternity, they know that the Lord El is real. The devil knows that the Lord El is real. And they don't really want to mess with it completely because they can't win against it. You understand? So they do a little here and they do a little there, and they let you think, but people think that, well, I'm protected by the Lord, when they have assigned protection for you. The advocates of the devil have assigned protection for you. Is this by the same token, certain people become great because they have made it so-called to the top of the entertainment world or the leadership world of fame? Who opened the door to let them in, and why did they let them in? To appear as though they had made it. Was it the Lord Most High that they represent, or is it the evil that they represent? And those people let them through the door. You know, see, if you don't take the Lord in everything you do, then you gonna miss out. You gonna miss. You gonna miss. And then all praise will not be due from your mind to the Lord Most High. Some of it be due to you because you start thinking that, well, I accomplished this. What makes you better than me because you make $50 million a year and I make $5 a year? What makes you better than me? You're not better than me. Your finances that you have received your worldly finances may be better than mine, but that don't make you better than me. Now, people following the ways of the devil believe that their financial status makes them a better or worse person, when the Lord has said in the books of the gospel or the whomever, the people that came before Muhammad, it is harder for the rich man to climb the ladder to paradise than it is to pass a camel through the eye of a needle.
That's right.
That's right.
That's true.
And you just think, and you think about this here. Ahezaah is so merciful that Ahezaah show us signs all the time. What was that rich man name? He said he would, he said he would give up all his riches. That was a sign. That was a sign from Ahezaah to the people. That this man would walk away from everything.
But they said that he was crazy. It's the same thing as the brother who was in the Italian brother who was in Newark. I ain't gonna call his name, but he was a revolutionary and so-called vigilante in Newark, protecting the North Ward of Newark during the time of Ahezaah and Gibson and what have you, right? And on his deathbed, Allah gave him a vision, and he said, "I will never call a black man nigger again, because I seen Mother Mary and Jesus, and they both were black." And they, just like they said Howard Hughes was crazy, I'm quite sure a lot of these people turned on him, said this man ain't going crazy because he on his deathbed. But see, when you start coming to near death, man, you start coming to purity. You start coming to fear. You start coming to realization. You know, and you be like, hey, man, I ain't got time for jiving. I ain't got time for this world no more. I ain't got time for all this philosophy, all my opinions. I got to be right. What is it I could do to get right? And the Lord gave him a sign. And he said, I will never. He may not have known that he was going to pass on.
Right.
But he said, I will never. And they publicized it in the Star Ledger, you know? And it's like, they made a movie of his vigilantism, but I ain't seen no movie made of that change, you know, in his life. To come behind it, he's still the same man.
And so you mentioned the people coming into the transitions of death, and it struck me that that gentleman, like others, are starting to realize that they was never independent. They have no power to stop death from approaching.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of people, they don't come to that awareness until death is at the door. You know, they think like, you know, they are the cause and effect of whatever takes place in their lives, because they have the financial capability to make moves and manipulation and what have you. But then they find out at death's door, hold on, I can't stay one day longer. You know, I can't get this cancer off my back and what have you. So they come to the reality, but by the time they get there, sometimes it's a little bit too late.
Well, you know, I see some things. I love seeing some foolishness sometimes in TV or movies, theater and stuff. But I remember I was looking at The Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. And he shot my man, I forget his name.
Morgan Freeman?
No, they killed Morgan Freeman, but the other guy, the Caucasian guy, Gene Hackman. And he said, I ain't supposed to die. I ain't finished my house yet. And you know.
I remember that.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, that's the way some people believe. Oh man, I ain't going nowhere yet. I got this to do and that to do. You know, I'm not going, you know, I'm not dying yet, man. Nobody know when their time coming, man. You know?
Person with that kind of mentality, that seems like the person that's going to be snatched into the new reality, that new reality.
Well, you know, one of the beauties of becoming enlightened, truly enlightened in the Christ of Allah. See, people think Jesus was the Christ. Jesus came to the Christ of Allah just like other human beings came to the Christ of Allah. They called it Christ in English. They call it something else in another language, maybe Aten in the Egyptian language. You understand? And Nur in the Arabic language, and Ra in another language. You understand what I'm saying? But it's the same thing as the Christ, and people want to claim that and say this man was the Christ, or this man was the eternal being, you know. And then the devil try to soften it up and say, well, he was the son of the. We can't pass that on. They couldn't even get that through with Horus. How many ages of time time have man tried to say that they were the gods and Allah took them down? Look at the Pharaoh who threatened Moses. Allah took both of them, father and son, down. They claim to be the almighty power. You understand? But the thing about it is that when you come to the enlightenment and the Lord gives you that death from this mentality of the world, from your attachments to the world, and resurrect you in a new birth, the birth of the unity with it, you come to the divine enlightenment. Light, you see the light of truth, the light of the eternal truth. You have an experience with death. And you know that when you die physically, here's a prelude to what it's gonna be like. That's the beauty in becoming enlightened. That's the beauty in dying in this life to live in the Lord Most High before you go on, man, to that shocking reality and the finality of the death from this physical being, which everybody has to experience, man. And I'm gonna tell you something. That world there, from my own experience, is greater and more alive and more reality than this life. You know, and if you a person that don't believe in Allah or Ahezaah in the unseen, then you telling me you don't believe in the Christ, you don't believe in none of the prophets, huh?
That's right.
You don't believe in the Almighty Eternal Being. You must believe in the unseen. You must believe in the life to come, in the life hereafter. You must believe in the various levels of being. Like you have 7 bodies of your being. There's 7 levels of Earth's being. There's 7 levels of so many creative things that the scientists are revealing by force or by their ego to be made to look famous or great.
That's right.
You know, that they reveal to you that there's layers and layers of beings or entities of your being, of things being that is a part of this one thing. Some we call spirit.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
That's so true.
Yes.
Heavy statement. I hate to put it down, man, but it's the truth, man. People don't all the time realize, you know, as Ahezaah said through the messenger here, that when they do a thing, Allah said, don't follow good with the injury.
Yeah.
Hurting it, you know, and we think we're doing good or we believe we're doing good or the so-called good, and then it turn around and that very thing come back and bite us. But people say, well, I didn't mean for that to happen to me. But this life that Allah has given us here is giving us opportunity now to come truly experience it and go beyond just the words of the book, but truly try to live in light of those words of the book and the reality of truth that is manifest, giving forth to you at the sign of his presence in this hour of the day to let you know that this is the hour of the time that's being had.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed?